Hello, everybody. How you doing today? I'm going to go ahead and break my little kind of rule of thumb today and play a Stacy song because I think it's particularly fitting for the situation. So here we go. For the situation. So here we go.
Something going on. Freedom is in danger. Agents of the state, they taking children from the manger. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. They needed someone, oh, Jody wouldn't flip. They looked around, saw him quick. Oh, it made so much sense why. Oh, Brendan Dassey, he was Stephen's alibi. There's something going on in Wisconsin that's not kosher. We better stop, let's all take a look closer. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid for Brendan Dassey. That's exactly what they did. They visit him once, they visit him twice. They make him feel so safe. Sandwiches, soda, so nice. No cameras rolling and under no lights. Who knows what went on up in Fox Hill Monday night? There's something going on. Freedom is in danger. Everything about this case getting stranger and stranger. Oh, we know they will sacrifice your kid. Oh, Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. March 1st, alone in a room with Bert and Ernie. No parent present and no attorney. 4 hours later, with a touch of the knee, they finally get there's something going on. I said there's something going on. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. There's something going on. I said freedom is in danger when the agents of the state can take the children from the manger. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. Take Brendan Dassey, oh, that's exactly what they did.
All right, folks. So today we're talking about Brendan. That's why you're looking at the picture of Mr. O'Kelly there, crying his eyes out, drinking his Pabst Blue Ribbon there. Crocodile tears, folks. But anyways, you got Len Kaczynski over here asking him if he wants to switch brands, you know. He's got on his little kitty slippers. See those? There. Little kitty apron. It says here, kitty, kitty. It'd be funny if it said hello, kitty, too. That would have been equally funny. But anyway, so. Hello, how you doing? Here I am. Would certainly make the system make damn sure they were on the straight and narrow. Wouldn't it be nice if the three that decided on and gave away the bones had to be in prison day for day that SA and BD spent after their constitutional rights were violated? Yeah, that'd be great to see, actually. But I just don't think our forefathers envisioned their thoughts and plans would use to be bastardized against the innocent on a whim. sort of made sense, kind of. Buy an island somewhere and set up a better justice system. Crunch Island. See, I'm confused. It's only 5 p.m. on Crunch Island. Has the dude been fed already? I don't know. Yeah? I don't know. What? I'm sure there's supposed to be a joke there. I guess I'm missing it. Oh, well, thanks. Is my hair looking sweet? Okay, cool. Right on. I ran a comb through it, and there it is. Splat cat. The Wisconstitutionalities are at it again. Okay, so, all right. So why are we here? Why are we here talking about Brendan? Well, those of you who are on Twitter and were following Professor Drizzen and Professor Nyrider, they were tweeting last night. I noticed this after the live last night, after we got done talking about the state's response and the whole disingenuous mess that was. Went over on Twitter and saw Drizzen and Nyrider tweeting about the fact that they had brought an expert in who looked at the polygraph results for Brendan, that of the polygraph that had been done by Michael Kelly. Okay. So, I mean, look, the disingenuosity just spins here, folks. It keeps, you keep thinking there's not any more that could come up, right? We're at the end of the rope. There couldn't be more, right? There's so much already. I mean, seriously, we got to be like nearing the end of that rope, right? And then this stuff just keeps coming out. It's like, I mean, we're probably nowhere near the end of the rope because they're just, I mean, look at what all the stuff that just this disingenuous crap that the state is doing just keeps coming out again and again. So in this case, we have O'Kelly. We have Brendan. Okay, let me start off by saying this. Reed, who is the people that came up with, or the guy who came up with the current interrogation method that is used in most police stations and whatever, used by most investigators in the United States at this point in time. Anyway, it's the most popular. Reed itself, okay, in its own literature, it says that number one, that the full Reed technique should never be used on a juvenile, especially a juvenile who's mentally limited. It says it. Reed advises it's the investigators that use the Reed technique. It advises them that you should not use the full Reed technique on a juvenile who's mentally limited. There's also plenty of Supreme Court SCOTUS decisions that say the same thing. Okay? Yet what happened to Brendan happened. But it also says that, can you guys still see me? Okay, as long as you guys can see me. Something's going on here on my end. The other thing that Reed says about itself is that when you have a suspect who is repeatedly and who is very adamant about being polygraphed, this is just a rule of thumb that they throw in. But Reed tells this to investigators themselves, that when you have somebody who is very actively asserting, that they want to be polygraphed, that they are eager to be polygraphed, that's generally a sign of innocence. That in and of itself, just being persistent about asking for a polygraph, okay? Just that act in and of itself, according to Reed, is a sign of innocence. Right? Okay. So, if you guys followed the tweets last night, basically Drizzen points out that, number one, Brendan asked repeatedly for a polygraph, and Michael Kelly finally did one, right? And performed a polygraph test on Brendan, right? But O'Kelly, all O'Kelly wanted was to coerce Brendan again. He wanted to make Brendan tell that story again and all that stuff so that he could then, throw him to Wiegert and Fassbender and just basically sell him up the river, right? So we know O'Kelly administers this test. The next day when he's trying to coerce Brendan, he tells Brendan that Brendan failed it. He tells Brendan, you failed the polygraph test. Be honest. Blah, 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 all those same things, like the way they coerced him before, right? Okay. So then Michael Kelly, after telling Brendan he failed it, Michael Kelly then tells Len Kaczynski that it was inconclusive. Wait a second. Is it Is it a fail or is it inconclusive? It's like, which one? It can't be both, right? Here's the kicker. Drizzen and Nyrider brought in an independent polygraph analyst who went over the polygraph test of Brendan Dassey, and Brendan Dassey passed with flying colors, folks. He was telling the truth. Okay? Not only was he asserting that he wanted a polygraph test, which is a sign of innocence according to Reed, okay? But then he actually did well and actually passed the test, and O'Kelly ignored that and told him he failed and told Lynn Kaczynski it was inconclusive. Neither of which were right because he had actually passed. He had actually been telling the truth. Right? It's like, just when you think there's no more, I mean, just when you're starting to think you got to be reaching the end of the line, right? And then something else like this comes out. And it's just like, what the hell is going on here? You know, how much more obvious does Brendan's innocence need to be slapping you in the flipping face before the state of Wisconsin is going to frickin' realize it? It's what, just to the powers that be in Wisconsin, what you are doing to Brendan Dassey, you're embarrassing yourselves. You're continuing to embarrass yourselves. The fact that you fought and wasted your state's taxpayers' monies fighting his appeal, unbelievable. It's I feel sorry for the Wisconsin taxpayers, because for the pride of a bunch of politicians and people in power, they're going to end up having to foot the bill for the mistakes of people who just figured they'd keep lying, keep being disingenuous, keep hiding stuff, keep, playing games. That's what we're getting from the state of Wisconsin. I mean, look at that response last night, folks. They didn't even touch. They didn't even try. They didn't really hardly go near the merits of what KZ is arguing about these bones. They didn't even want to go near that about whether they gave them back. They basically said one thing that stood out. And that was, they said that the bones are still only possible human. They did say that much. And that because of that, they haven't violated statute. So my question is, you guys, the state of Wisconsin, you guys constantly are whenever an uncomfortable question comes your way at a press conference or something like that, you're wrapping yourself in the hall box. Oh, we're only doing what's best for the hall box. We care about the hall box. Okay. How am I and anybody else at large supposed to take that in any way seriously when you've just admitted that you handed bones back to the hall box that you don't know are Teresa's? That's what you're admitting to in your response. That you don't know, but you handed them back anyway. Right? Disingenuous much? It's very disingenuous. Thank you so much, Chase Postel. Dr. Pepper Fun. I just went and stocked up at Costco, by the way, Chase. So thank you so much, though. Appreciate it. But yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. They're saying possible. They're saying that they gave possible human bones back to the hall box. Wait, you're not sure? You're giving bones back to this family that you supposedly care so much about that you wrap yourself up in them every time an uncomfortable question is asked to you? Well, what about now? You're getting faced with an uncomfortable question of, did you destroy evidence? Did you give away evidence you shouldn't have? And you're being faced with that uncomfortable question, and now you're basically admitting that you don't know what you gave the hall box. You don't know. That's what you're saying. If you didn't know what you were giving, why would you do? I mean, why would you take all this? Why would you do this? It's so strange to me. All right, let's take a look at the chat here real quick. Get off my rant a little bit here. It's inexplicable. Thanks, Travis. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing, for me, Brendan and Steven are very much connected. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't really they just don't get into the Brendan. They don't, for whatever reason, they don't, right? And I know that because I know that the videos that I put out about Steven tend to get a lot more views than the videos that I put out about Brendan. So I know that's how I kind of know how the interest is and goes, But the thing is that they're both really inexplicably tied. Not inexplicably tied, but they are both intrinsically tied together. And that is, let me put it this way. You all know I believe Brendan's 100% innocent. And here's the thing. If these investigators were willing to do what they did to Brendan and stand by it and act like it's a good thing, then I think the sky's the limit for them. That there's nothing too far beyond what they'll try or do. Because to do that to a 16-year-old kid who is just continuously proving how innocent he is and how obvious it is that these investigators were bullying him and fact-feeding him and giving him the story they wanted. And all these things are so obvious. And yet they have no remorse for what they've done. None. And if they don't have remorse for that, then I believe they're going to lie about every shady, dirty thing they did. And I don't think they're going to, they probably don't even lose sleep over it. It's probably, they're probably comfortable with being, dirtbags at this point. I mean, that's the only thing I can think, because they're still lying and they're still playing disingenuous games, right? Anyway. Do you have a link to the doc for the test Brendan passed? I'd have to go looking for it. I'm going off of the tweets from Drizzen and Knight Rider last night, but I'll see if we can't get that. Sniff, sniff. Yeah, I know, right? But he has crocodile tears, dude. Look at what he did. I mean, let me put it another way. How am I supposed to believe Michael Kelly's tears when he was crying about the blue ribbon because he was trying to buy time from answering an uncomfortable question? Once again, somebody wrapping themselves in the hall box. So by crying over the blue ribbon, he's wrapping himself in Teresa, right? How am I supposed to believe those are genuine tears when I know that this idiot ignored the obvious signs of Brendan's innocence and railroaded him anyway? How am I supposed to have any sympathy for this jerk? I can't. How am I supposed to believe that his tears are real? I can't. And I won't. I mean, I'm no two ways about it. I can't. This guy's an idiot. Kaczynski basically turned over everything to O'Kelly to handle. He hooked him up with Kratz, worked together, and wanted it hidden from the family. Absolutely. One day, the powers that be in Wisconsin will have to face their maker. It won't be pretty. This is so crazy. How can it get any crazier? Right? You keep thinking, that's what I'm saying, dude. You keep thinking you're going to reach the end of the rope and there's not going to be another thing that comes out, right? But there always is. There's always one more thing right around the corner, right? It was the world against Brendan, and now the world knows the truth. The prosecution lied to everyone. Yeah, there you go. I don't know if we have a document. I think we're basing this off of what Stephen and Laura said. If they cared about the hall box, they wouldn't have given unknown bones to them. Correct. Casey said the response made them smile. I think she is setting them up so they cannot backtrack. That may very well be. I mean, hey, she's a hell of a chess player, so she may be a couple moves ahead, Let's see who this was. Thank you so much, Sable Hall. Exactly. Incompetence. Why would they do this? Throws chair. I love it. Throws chair. I like the addition of the throws chair. That's great. I love it. Thank you, Sable. That's awesome. I I asked Drizzen if they can share the document with us. So far, no answer. So I'm sure we'll get it eventually, folks. So how's it taken all these years when Robert Dvorak got everything from O'Kelly? They just, well, the way that Drizzen was saying it is they just decided to bring in an expert. You know, they saw it, they're going, hey, you know, there's this polygraph. So I guess they brought in an expert, or maybe they had one at the clinic. They had a polygraph expert maybe there at the clinic or whatever to go ahead and take a look at. But what they're saying is that they had a very, an expert in reading polygraph results and stuff, looked at it, and in fact, it showed that Brendan had passed with flying colors, that he was telling the truth. So we'll obviously, Drizzen's not one to make a claim like this and not back it up. So I mean, just if we're patient, we'll get it. Lynn didn't lie. O'Kelly did. Oh, Lynn absolutely lied. What did they have to gain from taking these lives away from these men? Well, Avery, they just had it in for, but then they realized that their evidence was questionable, and they knew Stephen's attorneys were going to be able to call it into question, and so that's how Brendan got hooked in. It's a simplified explanation, but roughly that's basically how it is. I've been crying all day. I'm so upset. Thank you, Dennis Clifton. Why did the Hallbox drop the civil suit? Because they knew a new civil trial would bring up all this evidence. Yeah, could be. I hate to stick up for Mr. Miyagi, but I think he just repeated what he was told. I think O'Kelly is the worst. Yeah, well, they're both bad. I mean, I'm not trying to decide which one is crap. I'm not trying to decide which one was worse. They're both bad. What happens when it all catches up? Hell is hot, right? Cry all you need to, everyone, then get up and use your voice. Absolutely. O'Kelly is garbage. Just like OJ owned trial, but lost civil trial because of the evidence in the different jury, right? The state clearly believes that they are not accountable to act within the law. Yeah. They believe they are above the law. I agree that they certainly have some kind of, something going on in terms of their heads. He wins a blue ribbon for being such a huge piece of dung. There you go. First prize for that, definitely. You would think more evidence would come out to confirm their guilt, not their innocence. Exactly, right? Exactly. O'Kelly is diabolical, but I don't think that he's an idiot. He knew exactly what he was doing and who he was working for, right? Isn't it funny how nothing new ever seems to come out that points at Brendan or Steve? Right, exactly. All the stuff keeps coming out is pointing at the disingenuous nature of the state over and over and over. None of it is ever seeming to point at Stephen and Brendan. It's always it's always pointing back at the state, or implicating, the state in some way. So yeah, absolutely. The document is out there. Someone sent a link on Twitter. Interesting. You would think more evidence would come. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. I'm putting on a tutu made of Pabst cans in honor of O'Kelly's disingenuosity being put on Front Street. There you go. Your tutu made of Pabst cans. A picture is worth 1,000 words, Bella. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Anyway, what will happen now with the polygraph? Well, what can Drizzen do with this? Well, let me say a couple things. First off, what O'Kelly did by lying about it, not illegal. I know. I'm sure if I was in the room with many of you right now, I would have probably been deafened. It's not illegal. It's perfectly legal for people to do that. Now, what Drizzen did say, he said it's common for investigators to do this to a potential perp or suspect, right? He says it's common for them to lie about the polygraph and stuff. He said it's unheard of for a defense investigator or defense attorney to do it, to lie about it to their client. He said that's unheard of. It's unprofessional, and it's unheard of, but it's not illegal. All I can say is it's just another little piece on top of the mountain that proves Brendan is innocent, that he was railroaded, that he was fed the story. It's just more and more to pile up on that. You know, everything points at Brendan's innocence, okay, except for this one confession, which is completely just convoluted and ridiculous and changes several different times during the course of it. Yeah, that one ridiculous thing. But if you go back to the story Brendan told previous to Wiegert and Fassbender, you know, coercing him, and if you look at the story he snapped back to after he recanted that whole March 1st, you know, fiasco, after he recanted that, he snapped right back to that same story he was telling originally. The thing that proves for me, folks, is that the story that Brendan can tell consistently over and over and over again is the truth. You got it? Right? Because that's the one that he's not trying to remember the lies made up. It always comes out the same because he's just remembering the events in his brain. And so the story just comes out the same because he's not having to work to remember past lies. He's just remembering the events as they happened. That's what makes it easier to tell the truth on repeated successive tellings. Okay? There's the indicator, yet another indicator of Brendan's innocence. Okay? And Brendan's innocence, the more we you know prove Brendan is innocent and make and find these things that point towards Brendan's innocence, the more shady it makes Stephen's case look, because it makes it look obvious that they came after Brendan because they were feeling insecure about their case against Stephen. So that's when I say they're tied together. That's what I mean. They're tied together because the closer you get to Brendan's innocence, the more despicable the state looks, and the more you start to look at everything going on in Stephen's case, and you start to go, you know what? Man, these guys are some bad apples. You know, how can I trust what they're saying? Really? How can I? How can anybody? Right? And yeah, so when it comes down to it, that's what it is. See, I would have thrown a Dr. Pepper at you. So does the result of this expert looking at the test constitute newly discovered evidence? It won't have any effect on the trial at all. So let me explain that a little bit. This is just another thing for people to point at and say, look, almost everything always comes up pointing to Brendan's innocence. And this is another one of those things. But here's the trick of it. Polygraph tests are not admissible in court. So this is not going to have any bearing on Brendan's, trial. If you guys can understand what I mean. Because it wouldn't have been admissible, there's no chance that it can affect the outcome of his trial. It would have never been admissible. Polygraphs aren't admissible in court. So because of that, there's just no way that they could use this to say that the jury would have, decided differently, because it would never have been able to be brought into court in the first place. So all this is just another little thing for all of us to look at and go, yeah, yet another indicator of Brendan's innocence. There it is again, another one, right? So that's what it is. It's legal, but seriously, with a child, come on. I know, right? It's horrible that it's legal, but that it is legal, but that's what it is right now, unfortunately. Thanks, Jamie. I'm glad you're thinking. At least you hope it was a plastic bottle. I hope, right? Yeah. Or no, that's Chase. Yeah, Chase is looking out for me. Thanks, Chase. 12-pack would be inhumane. You can't take down SA without BD, and SA had to come down. not just because of the civil suit, but because of the floodgate of civil suits of wrongful convictions that it would have opened up in Wisconsin. I think there's something to that, folks. I think the powers that be in Wisconsin were getting concerned about the number of people that were petitioning the Wisconsin Innocence Project, and I believe they were worried. I've got a feeling that a lot of money was thrown around to the players in this game. I refuse to believe they're this stupid. Yeah, could be. Wait a minute now. I'm drinking a Pabst. I don't see it anywhere. Yeah, let's see here. Do you know when Brendan took this test? Did O'Kelly use the false result against him in the May 12th interview? The day before the May 12th interview, yes, because Drizzen described it as the next day. When he was sitting down with Brendan, he told Brendan when he was getting him to coerce him all over again. He told Brendan in an effort to help him coerce Brendan again. He told Brendan that he had failed the polygraph. So I'm pretty sure we're going to find out it's a March 11th polygraph. I'm not finding it either. What I seen was the response. Hans was expert hired by Drizzen and Brendan passed. By Drizzen said Brendan passed. Okay, so Hans is the guy who came in. Okay, that's definitely his polygraph. I've seen that. Looking for their experts analysis of that test, saying he passed. Right. Since the polygraph results are old and are not admissible, if they did brain fingerprinting on Brendan now, do you think that would give Brendan a new option? I don't think so, because I don't think the Wisconsin courts are ready to take brain fingerprinting seriously at this point in time. I don't know that they ever will, but they're certainly not at this point in time. So I'm not sure how well brain fingerprinting is going to help. Hugging my wine. This is just coming out right now because Drizzen and Nyrider brought in this guy Honks, who Travis is talking about. This guy Honks is a expert in reading polygraph results, and he looked at the polygraph results and he determined that Brendan had passed with flying colors. That's what he's saying. We're looking for the document from Hans that where he says that, or where he analyzed it and signed it and said that Brendan passed. We're still looking for that. I'm sure it's going to surface, folks. I can't imagine that's going to hide. Hey, long time no see. Hello, Tracy. Hi, Paula. So, there was one other thing. Yes. The one other thing that Drizzen pointed out was that he had mentioned that there are people out there that can beat a polygraph, and that's why courts kind of have decided not to allow them to be admissible in court. But that's usually with like seasoned criminals and people, somewhat, educated and stuff. He said that with a this is the wording he used, with a guileless person like Brendan Dassey, there's really no way for him to deceive the polygraph. You have to have a certain amount of guile to be able to fool the polygraph, and Drizzen points out that Brendan just doesn't have that capacity to do it. He just doesn't. So the fact that he has been determined to have passed it is good thing. Public opinion certainly could, and that's why I want to talk about it. So absolutely, that's why I'm here talking about it. Is in transcripts of post-conviction hearings. Brendan could not have beat a freaking polygraph. No, absolutely not. O'Kelly and then Bert and Ernie interviewed Brendan after telling him that he had failed. I think that Brendan would have been hanging on to the hope that he had passed. Has Zellner responded? I doubt it. Zellner, you mean reply? And Zellner, I don't even know if Zellner is going to reply. We don't know that the state was even supposed to reply. I mean, the state might have filed needlessly. You know, if you guys look at the decision from before on the CD, she basically said, I'm not even going to read the state's response or the reply. She just said, they don't matter. I'm making the decision on the motion on it alone. And she didn't ask for anything that we can tell. And so I don't know what Zellner's going to do. She probably will just file a reply anyway. I don't know. But seeing as nothing's been asked for, it's hard to say what's going to happen exactly. Oh, I got caught lying to my dad. I would have beat a polygraph. I mean, they are admissible in some states, but only if both sides agree. Well, yeah, there could be certain, yeah. But out of all this stuff that has been brought forward, the one thing I am stuck on is how the hell did Hillegas get the planner? Yeah, exactly. It's another issue of Zellner tweeted today that her reply is due on the 15th of April. Due on? Okay, well, that would suggest then that there is a schedule. So maybe there is a schedule now. It's an article, talks about the results halfway down the page. Had Brendan had a hired attorney and not a court appointed, this would never have happened. Unfortunately, many people can't afford a lawyer. Absolutely. It's sad. All the good news is never good enough, apparently. There's so much that proves their innocence, but still the evil win. Even if Teresa was alive and exposed this hoax, they'd say she's a clone. Yeah, they probably would. After saying in their response yesterday that the bones are only possible human, it's just like, yeah, whatever, guys. You don't know what you're giving back to the family? You don't know? I mean, what are you doing? What is in your freaking heads? It's like, holy Christ. Need a box of spirits. See you later, fan. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, it's just, you look over and over and over again, and it's just, there's so many indicators that show Brendan was telling the truth. There's so many. And they were all just ignored. I mean, why? Why was everything so, I mean, it just, there's something dirty going on. It's like, that's why I played something going on at the beginning of the video, for everybody. Because in that song, he talks about there's something going on in Wisconsin that's not kosher. Everybody stop. Let's all take a look closer. Because seriously, that's what needs to happen. I mean, he talks about everything about these cases keep getting stranger and stranger. It does. More and more as time passes. I mean, this is now the third time that the actions of Len Kaczynski are coming back to bite them in the butt. Okay, we have the original thing, where he threw Brendan to the wolves, brought in Michael Kelly to coerce him and everything, right? Then we have recently Len Kaczynski getting in trouble for using a cat toy to meow at one of his, and stare at and meow at one of his clerks for 45 minutes and stuff, and doing a bunch of other stuff that generally made her feel uncomfortable. He's had his judgeship revoked, right? And then now his investigator, they're finding out that his investigator just completely misrepresented the truth, just completely lied, and said that Brendan had failed and that the results were inconclusive when neither of those things were true. And so it's like Len Kaczynski is like the gift that keeps on giving, right? Because the fruit of his labors just keeps on coming back and biting Wisconsin in the butt. And I think it's awesome. I wish they could check Bobby's computer history over the past 10 years. They needed Brendan or somebody to get Steven. There are strange things afoot at the Circle K. I have hope for Judge S. I think she is going to have a hearing. JS is like, you guys are jerks. And now look, I have to I have to a friggin' hiring. I bet Brendan doesn't know he passed the polygraph. He probably does now. I mean, I imagine Steve and Laura are telling him. Sorry, State, you lose. I wish the Hallbox would start asking the authorities some questions. Yeah, me too. Indeed there is. We need Bill and Ted to go back in time. So Brendan has been proven to be telling the truth, that neither he nor Stephen had anything to do with Teresa's disappearance. Seasoned criminals like 16-year-old BD? No way he beat a polygraph. Absolutely not. No way. It's 100% accurate. He's innocent. Absolutely. It's absolutely the case. I mean, I already thought Brendan was innocent, but this is just one more. One more, piece on the puzzle. One more piece on the, or one more, piece of hay on the, or piece of straw that's getting ready to break the camel's back. You know what I mean? It's just the stuff keeps adding up, pointing away from guilt and towards innocence. And it's hard to ignore. It really truly is hard to ignore. Test wasn't admissible, so I imagine they didn't really care what the results were. Exactly. You're so welcome, Vanessa. O'Kelly is a sick SOB for lying to Brendan about the polygraph. Absolutely. Absolutely. He's, unforgivable. O'Kelly, everything that guy did is unforgivable. I don't know how he sleeps at night. Can we get the Innocence Program involved? We can point out the injustices brought on by the Wisconsin DOJ. Yeah, but the Innocence Project isn't. They're in no better position than us or Drizzen or whatever. I mean, they're just another entity that they aren't the Wisconsin government themselves. They are a nonprofit organization. So it's not like they bark and the state does what they say. It's not like that. What's blowing my mind is trying to figure out how O'Kelly lied to Kaczynski. Wait, we don't need Bill and Ted. We got Marty McFly in here. There you go. I really can't imagine the position the Hallbach family are in. I'd guess they're just as confused as we are, and that's their flesh and blood. I hope they sue the crap out of the state too. Well, that's just it. I mean, that's what this is potentially going to do, is drive a wedge between the Hallbachs and the state. Because, seriously, like, they're probably hearing today, people were probably coming up to them and saying, do you guys know that the state doesn't know what they gave you? People are going to be asking them that. And be like, they don't know if the things that they gave you in 2011, they don't actually know if those are Teresa. Did you guys know that? I got to imagine people that are finding out about what was in the state's response are going to be asking them about that. People that are close to them, people that can get away with asking a question like that, right? So I got to imagine when they get a few of those questions from people that they're, friends with, close to, or whatever, that they're going to probably start going, what is going on here? But maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, Smelly thought the entire family tree should be destroyed. Absolutely. That was another thing. I really can't imagine the position the Hallback family are in. I'd guess they're just as confused as we are, and that's their flesh and blood. I hope they sue the crap out of the state too. I don't think the Hallbachs particularly like Mike are at all. Oh, the Hallbachs, particularly Mike, are at all interested in knowing the truth. Yeah, I think they, have blinders on as well. I believe that they may have blinders on. I'm not sure I understand your question. State didn't have an expert saying he failed. They just lied and said he did. Oh my, the mysterious Falcon Apata. I've been excited to meet you. Oh wow. I do not think that the Hallbox are ever going to take a stand on this. I imagine they may just stay, in the shadows. My tweet from the other day, the Chinese place near me says it's chicken. I'm going to go with possible chicken. Was the polygraph part of the trial at all? As I explained, Falcon, the polygraph is just another thing for those of us, another academic point for those of us who believe in Brendan's innocence, for us to point to and say, look, there's yet another indicator of Brendan's innocence. But no, it will not be able to have any effect on the outcome of Brendan's trial, because the polygraph would have never been admissible at trial, so it therefore could have had no effect on the trial. So it's not gonna change anything in regards to Brendan's trial, but it is something for those of us who believe in his innocence, for us to point out and go, yep, there's just yet another thing that points at Brendan's actual innocence. So, but I appreciate where you're going with that. You're right. It's not going to change the trial, because it would have never been admissible at trial. Polygraph is banned in Wisconsin, as Travis said right there. So there you go. So, let's ask Aspender if he knew about that. Knew about the polygraph. Yeah, it would be interesting to know if he knew about it. But if he did know about it, which story did he get? Failed, inconclusive, passed? I mean, which story did O'Kelly give him? Because we know he gave Brendan one story and Len Kaczynski another story. So maybe he gave a third person a completely different story again. Who knows? Who knows what the hell was going on in O'Kelly's head? The guy is a freaking train wreck, man. I don't know what the hell he was doing. He's a freaking train wreck. At some point, someone in the family will look on the internet. All it takes is one person to fall down the rabbit hole. Could be anyone within the family and take that leap. I can hope. Yeah, it could be. I don't think he would have cared. What about misconduct of investigators? That must be banned in Wisconsin too. Oh, there's reform that needs to happen for sure, T1. I agree with you. Police always say, if you take the polygraph and pass, we can exclude you. Brendan passed, and they still railroaded him. Absolutely. Which is why KK had to go so far out to get one. Brendan is as well a victim. Let's see. You look very nice. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Good point. We don't know what he told whom, right? I think that's legal in Wisconsin. Can an advocate of Brendan civilly sue Buttermunch? No, I don't think so, Sable. No, I think you would have to actually be an interested party. It would have to come from somebody. If it was going to happen at all, I would think it would have to come from somebody like his mom, or something like that. Arg, I'm so angry about this. Wisconsin is the most ass backward state. I believe Teresa Halbach is still alive. Well, I know there are some people out there that believe that. It's not personally something I believe myself at this point, after 3 years now. Pin the object is get him exposed. The problem is that the only damn person who translated the results at the time lied to everyone about it. There you go. Hey, Sharon. How you doing? It's really annoying me that no one looked into this before now. It's reminiscent of the Miss Dassey computer info. Look, folks. Guys, remember I've just been telling you that it's not admissible at trial. It's not going to have any effect on the trial because it would have never been admissible at trial, right? So you get what I'm saying there, right? So can you understand why Knight Rider and Drizzen weren't all fired up about going out and spending clinic money to bring in an expert to analyze a polygraph that wasn't going to have any effect on the case. No matter what, no matter how great it came out in Brendan's favor, it was not going to be able to have any effect. But it is something now that I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they brought in an expert to analyze it, because I am freaking loving it. That it actually says the opposite of what the way O'Kelly represented it. And I think that's awesome. But the reason why they haven't done it before now is because they knew it just wasn't going to change anything, not in terms of what happened in court, because it would have never been admissible, and therefore it cannot have any outcome. It cannot have any effect on the outcome of the trial because it could never have been part of it. So that's why they probably left this for so long. So try not to be so critical of them. Just understand that this probably didn't get done right away because they already knew that they weren't. It just wouldn't be useful to them post conviction. I hope I made that understandable. I'm glad they actually did it though, and they probably did go ahead and paid the money to bring this expert in because they wanted to give all of us something to look at again and look at Brendan's innocence and be able to point at something and go, look at, here we go, another indicator, right? And so I'm glad they did it in that sense. But the reason why it didn't get done before now is, like I said, it was never going to be able to be used in post-conviction. It was never going to help them in post-conviction. But it does help them, with the results they got, it does help them create awareness. And it helps to convince more people that Brendan was railroaded. And that's what it can do now. Now that there's so much attention on the case, they can go ahead and spend that money on the expert and have that, all that done. And it's going to pay off because now we're out here and we can talk about it. And we can pass on the information of what a slime bag O'Kelly is. And Kaczynski is. And Fassbender and Uyghur. That's the whole slime bag crew. Right? It helps us in that sense, right? So I don't know. I plead to everybody. Please don't be ultra critical on this. Just understand that they hadn't done this before now because they knew it wouldn't help in terms of court. It will help with public opinion. It's exciting to those of us who believe in Brendan's innocence, but in a court, it wasn't going to help. And that's why it hadn't gotten done before now. So, all right. I think I've harped on that enough. I didn't know that they have the chance to comment. We can use the polygraph info to recruit more of us truthers. Exactly right, Janet. I think O'Kelly is the one who administered the polygraph. It is. I understand that, but it just feels sad. I'm not being critical. I know I've been getting a couple comments like that, Sharon. So I wanted to just explain to people, look, they didn't do it because there wasn't a need. But now they perceived that it might be good for all the supporters of Brendan to be able to spread that one more nugget of, proof that one more nugget of, indicator that indicates that Brendan was, innocent and telling the truth and that he was being bullied and ignored, so it's just one more piece of the puzzle on that, and so now, just guys, understand it wasn't done before now because they knew they couldn't take it into court. The fact that he passed isn't new. Hintz analyzed it back at the time of the post-conviction motion. It was done. Did they have someone else look at it? It could be they're just talking about it yesterday. They just started talking about it. I'm not. All I know is I hadn't heard it before. So. Brendan's own Brendan's own liar. I like that. Lawyer hired O'Kelly. Yes. Here's a screenshot from the article. How is this any different than the female officer misleading PB in 85 case? O'Kelly misled everyone, even BD. Disgraceful. Absolutely. It's disgraceful. It's disingenuous O'Kelly. Hashtag disingenuous O'Kelly in disingenuous Wisconsin. All right. You guys see this? This is Drizzen reporting. So he says, when our expert looked at it. So I imagine it's going to be Hans, just like Travis is talking about. It just so happens they were on Twitter talking about this yesterday. Okay, so, but here's the tweet. And he has several of them. And you can go over and check them out if you want. But he's basically laying it out. Kaczynski hired O'Kelly for the polygraph. On 5/13, in an effort to get Dassey to confess, O'Kelly lied and told Dassey he failed the test. But later told Kaczynski the results were inconclusive. When our expert looked at O'K's results, he found BD had passed with flying colors. So this could be the Hans guy that Travis is talking about. Okay. So here's another one. Polygraphs are inadmissible, but Reed and Associates notes that asking for one is a sign of innocence. Who asked for a polygraph repeatedly? Brendan Dassey. So these are what I'm talking about, folks. Here's the one. Let's see. Here's the one I was telling you about. That said, a guileless person like Brendan is precisely the kind of person who is not likely to beat the machine. Right? So this is what I'm talking about. All right. He's bringing the topic back up, and honestly, I had not heard about this previously. So, but it may be that they were just bringing it up last night. But it's an interesting little fact. It's an interesting little thing, and you know, if I missed it in the past, you know, hey, dude, maybe I was sleeping, maybe I was busy, maybe whatever. I don't know what it was, but the fact is, I know about it now, and now a lot of other people know about it. So. Yeah, just go to Drizzen's page. They're kind of at the top of his feed. You don't have to go down very far. It'd be interesting to have a third independent party review the results. Yeah, actually, Falcon, I'd be interested in that as well, personally. Erekose is doing a great job of doing that, which is for the best right now. Let's see, it is buried in post-conviction motion hearing transcripts. Okay. The results are available to us if you know someone. It was an independent review. It don't matter when it matters now. Yeah, I know, but you might have subs that he doesn't. So, is Ali like getting gun shy about going live to talk about this? As far as I know, O'Kelly hasn't made a statement. Here's the rub. None of this is new. It's only solidifying the misconduct and disingenuous way in which the whole case has been investigated and handled. Right. So whatever it is, there's just more and more stuff that points, as I said, there's just always more and more that points at innocence or points at the disingenuosity of the state or the disingenuousness of the state. There's always everything more and more comes out points that way. There's nothing coming out. It always, to coin the phrase that Luke Berg used in Brendan's appeals a lot, was it always cuts away. It always cuts at the state. It doesn't. This stuff that comes out doesn't really cut at Avery and Dassey. It always ends up cutting at the state, right? That's a phrase. That's a term that Luke Berg used, talking about how certain issues cut both ways and cut this way or that way and blah blah blah. That was the terminology he was using. Well, to use that terminology here, I'm basically saying that all this stuff that keeps coming out and that we keep, talking about here on my channel and on other channels and all those sort of things, right? All these things that continue to come out are all cutting at the state and away from Stephen and Brendan. That's significant to think about. Why is the state continuously getting the black eye? Why are they continually looking like the shady ones? Why are they continually being caught in lies or disingenuous acts? I wanted to know how the lie detector test will benefit Brendan and getting him out of jail. Unfortunately, David, it's not. It's just another thing for us supporters to point to continue to create pressure. I don't know if maybe I'm not explaining this well enough, but this is something that we can look at as one more thing that points to Brendan's innocence. That's what it is. And when you find yourself arguing with people, or some people on the other side, or you find yourself trying to convince somebody who's on the fence, or you're at least talking about the case with somebody who's on the fence maybe and stuff, you want to be able to point at these things, right? And say, yeah, Brendan was, according to Reed, if you ask for polygraph, that usually is an indicator of your innocence. And then, if you pass the polygraph, that's usually an indicator of your innocence. And, on and on it goes with Brendan. The fact that all the facts are fed to him. On and on and on and on it goes. There's not a single solid thing about anything that happened to Brendan. Not any of it. Nothing. It's all complete BS, right? See, Murray Fly, I really don't know. I've been trying really hard to pull it all together, but I've been failing. Every time I look at something, I get mad again. I'm educated with, I'll tell you what, Allie, it helps to get online and talk to other people about it and spread awareness about it. It helps to, kind of bring down the anger level a little. So you might consider it. It might be therapeutic. Maybe preparing a pardon argument. The exact same thing was done with Jesse Miss Kelly. Only difference was this was done by Brenda's attorneys, right? Just a question on the topic. What proof do we have that the Hallbox have the bones? Have the family confirmed? Well, yes, they were given to the Whiting Funeral Home, and the Whiting Funeral Home, as far as I know, yes, it's confirmed. And I believe they were just buried. Thank you for going live and getting us talking about this. As angry as we all are, we needed this. Yeah, it all needs to get talked about. And I know when it comes to Brennan, these things hurt. And I get that. But we got to fight through that, because we got to get other people to be outraged at it like we are. And the way to do that is to continue talking about it. No matter how unpleasant it is, we got to keep doing it. We got to keep on dredging it up, and we got to get other people as pissed off as we are. It's important. I hate to talk about going around getting people pissed off, but unfortunately, that's what needs to happen here. We need to actually piss people off. So I'd like to be going around and spreading joy and sunshine and that sort of stuff, but in this case, we got to get other people as pissed off as we are, so that something gets done, right? So I just got my channel created. Been around a long time, but late to this game. Hi, Miss Carter 50. Hey, it's fun to rant. See, you guys love my rants. Well, many of you do. Just remember, just try to check it. Just try to make sure, try to limit the number of expletives, but let all the passion come out, but try to just, stay away from some of the other things that might put people off, but let all that, feeling surface. It's people appreciate it. So anyway, just a little advice. My biggest hang up is I want assurance that the state does not get away with this deception. Yeah, I know. We'd all like to make sure they're not going to be able to do this sort of stuff, but that's why we all have to keep talking about it. Change doesn't happen unless we get on it and make it and make it so where they can't forget, to where they can't ignore it. We got to be in their face. It all has to be in their face. They have to get sick of looking at it until to the point where it drives them to finally deal with it. That's really essentially, I think, what it comes down to. Rhonda, you don't understand the judicial system because it's broken and run by mentally ill perverts. It's not because you're uneducated. I love it, Truth Monster. Ali Apperson dropped any F-bombs today. Yeah, ranting is good. Always try to measure it. You know, don't let your rant run you. You got to run your rant, right? You can't let your rant run you. And that's dangerous when you're getting on a rant, because sometimes if you're not careful, your rant can run you. So you got to be careful. You always got to be mindful when you're ranting. Let's effing chat. Yes, rant. That's what this needs. I think everyone is scared of ugly crying. Everyone ugly cries at some point. Let's see. I'm starting to think I don't know any other words. We definitely need MAM3. Let's see. This will never heal properly until the very painful infection is dug out. Right. The Band-Aids that are getting put on it aren't working. Absolutely, T. I shared this on Twitter. Thank you, Sharon. I foresee Ali using the F word like a comma. Passion is great. I do like it when you show you're upset. Makes me feel not alone, and I'm sure like others are, like a lot of others. Yeah, you know, like I said, I measure it. You know, but sometimes when I'm talking about something, it just, you know, and it just makes me get mad, and so you guys will start seeing that come out of me. But I'm always like very careful about it. I'm always trying to not let it get too out of hand. So I'm kind of continuously reining myself in as I rant, just to make sure, because man, if you let yourself go, you'll end up somewhere you don't even know you don't even know how you got there. That's what happens if you rant and you don't, you know, keep it dialed down just a little bit, and you know, just a little bit of measure of control so that your rant doesn't get off point, right? So that's about it. My biggest you know, point of advice for people when they want to go do their rant is just, you know, just remember, just try to keep your rants, you know, simple at first. Get the hold of you know, letting your emotions come out and showing your emotions and your passion, but without letting your passion rule you. It's a tricky balance. Tricky. About O'Kelly, it's sickening knowing how many big profile cases he's been hired, and now, and how much money he's made. It's actually disgusting. Okay, I think I could use some therapy. Oops, where'd it go? Damn it. If you think it will help, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, you can go after me, and then I can come on and be on your live chat. Get Linda on there with you. I'd love to see one of her. I'd like to see Linda get off on a rant too. I bet she gets on a good one. Glow man. It will come back and bite them eventually. This is genuinely insane that both Averys haven't been released yet. The government over there is insane. You reap what you sow, 100%. Well, here comes the tears. Glenlivet. That's my therapy. Glenlivet, eh? There you go. Falcon likes wine. I'm more of a beer guy myself. And scotch. I love scotch. Freaking love scotch. 3 cubes and a couple fingers. Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's right. Glenlivet is, that's right. That's, is that Irish whiskey? Yeah, there you go. I might start drinking again. Ali Everson, your anger and your tears matter, Ali, and everyone else's too. This is what motivates people to change things. Hey, that's just it. You know, gotta, you know, it's like I said, we got to get everybody out there as mad about this as we are. We got to get everybody out there looking at what happened to Brendan and going, what? This is okay? Like, people signed off on this? right? You know, we just got to get more people got to be aware of it. Really. Just think about it. We're all so stuck in our own little worlds. And trust me, before I got into all this stuff, oh, I was bad. I was in my own little world, and I was like, you know, so that's why I can understand now that I've gotten out of that shell, that bubble, and I'm, you know, expanding out here on my YouTube channel and reaching out and trying to make a difference and becoming a bit of an activist, you know, and all that. It's like, I understand those people that are out there that are, you know, not tuning into this. They're not getting involved because they're in their little world and they don't want to take on something like this because it's big and it's life-changing. And so a lot of people are resilient or reluctant to do it. So we just got to keep pounding on it and keep pounding on it. And we'll get a few more of those people and a few more of those people and a few more of those people. That's what we got to do. That's what it's about. So we got to share our passion, our anger, our frustration. We got to share all those things so that we get other people feeling them and so that we grow in strength. So it's definitely what needs to happen. So I know, you know, I hate to talk about going around and getting people pissed off, but unfortunately that's what needs to happen at this point in time to get people fired up and ready to do something about this. Single malt scotch, okay. When I rant, I just type harder. I'm holding out. So far, Julie, not sure, like sober life. 1 glass of red wine and with a meal is great for the body. Not that y'all noticed, but I'm back. Hi, Amber. Jamie Hart is not easy, but it's worth it. At least it seems like it for me so far. It's been hard sometimes, but we can do it. It will get better. Let's see. Laugh my ass up. I even got a little keyboard for my tablet so I could type hard. I love it, Siggy. That's funny. Every conversation I shall have in the future will mention Brendan's Polygraph. There you go, Sharon. Love it. Love it. Well, it's up to you. Do what you think is best. I got to go. I got the bell clicked. So talk to you later, maybe. I had so much fun drinking, though. I still love to drink myself. I know Paul was a little disappointed when we were in Australia because the first 2 days I was kind of, you know, keeping up, you know. But then I was kind of like, I knew that if I continued to drink for a third and a fourth day like that I was going to be feeling miserable and not really enjoying my trip to Australia. And so I had to stop. I know when it's time to stop for me because I know when it's going to start making me feel, you know, like blah, right? You know that feeling? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? And so I knew if I would have tried to go for a third consecutive day or into a fourth day, that it was just going to end up making me feel blah. And then I didn't want to feel blah in Australia. I wanted to feel, you know, alert and happy and fun. And that's what I wanted to be in Australia. So I had the ability to say, no, okay, I'm done drinking. I although I do love to get drunk and have some beers and get drunk and hang out and BS with people and do all those sort of things. I know when to say when, I guess. That's when it comes down to it. I guess that's me. Having a child with a disability myself, it infuriates me. Absolutely. A lot of people that have children that, you know, are, or even just a little bit mentally limited, really feel Brendan Dassey's plight. And that's common. And, you know, obviously we want as many people as possible. So I'm doing it, especially if I have Erekose and Linda to help me rein me in if I lose it. We're mad as hell, and we're not gonna take it anymore. There you go. Maybe we can get T1 to come on and yell a bit. There you go. Not if he's at work. We got to get that guy on vacation so we can actually have a conversation with him sometime. Sorry if I'm missing comments, trying to get my face sorted out. No worries. You love me in the black shirt? Oh, yeah. Well, I bought it because obviously I had the white one. And I just thought, you know, I was thinking about this tie here, right, that Paul had given me, this Pink Panther tie here. And I just thought, it might look good with the piano key kind of in the blue, the kind of dark blue of it. I was thinking a black collared shirt, so I bought one. And I think it looks nice, and gotten a few compliments on it already. So T1 speaks in Braille. Allie's gonna show him with his ball gag again. Watch. Anyway. So I think we've basically covered all that there. We will obviously be looking for, the document, to look at. We'll try to get that, and we'll get that circulating, the document of the analysis done by the Dr. Hans that Travis was talking about. So we'll try and get that circulated around for people to kind of check it out and see where he points out that Brendan passed and that sort of stuff, so that people can understand what's going on there. We'll try and get that circulating around for you guys. Let's see. Question: Can Knight Rider and Drizzen have BD take another polygraph, but tell the state's narrative to compare the results? I actually like that. That's an interesting thought, T1. I like that. That's outside the box thinking. I like that. And I think it would be intriguing. What would happen if Brendan, connected to a polygraph, started re-uttering the state's narrative? What would happen? That's intriguing. That's an excellent thought, dude. It's very fetching. It would look nice with your kilt and ankle socks. We'll have to go watch the results. Let's see. We're all an angry mob right now. Ellie, I will be there in the peanut gallery. Let's see. That is a great idea. That would be great. I just joined. Sorry if it's already been said, but Drizzen and Nyrider had their expert ready to testify in Brendan's post-conviction hearing, but the judge denied the testimony. Right. And that's not surprising, because we know polygraphs aren't admissible in court. At least, especially in Wisconsin, polygraphs aren't admissible in court. So they really cannot have any effect or bearing on reversing a judgment or triggering a new trial. They just can't, because they're not admissible in the first place. So it's impossible for them to have any effect on the verdict. So I mean, that's essentially the way that goes. Brain fingerprint them all. I don't know if Hans' report was ever made public, but Erekose knows them and he could ask. Yeah, I'll ask Drizzen about it and see if it, hopefully, if Drizzen won't, I know who to ask. Actually, you know what, guys? I know who to ask, and we'll I'll at least get an answer, even if it's not one I want. So, but yeah, I know who to ask. I will. Oh yeah, the Wisconsin election. Maybe we'll have Travis show up at Allie's live to report, what he sees there. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna eat a little dinner, and hopefully we'll all be back together on Allie's live. So it's been fun. It's been, obviously it's a pleasure to sit here and talk about, all these things, that are fishy in this case. Today we're talking about this, polygraph that shows that Brendan actually, passed with flying colors, and that O'Kelly was just being disingenuous, just like everybody else involved in these cases. When it comes, when we find that these stuff, it's just more and more adding to the pile. Make sure more people need to know about this, that Brendan passed the polygraph, that he insisted repeatedly that they polygraph test him, and that he ended up passing it. These are two huge indicators of innocence. Two huge indicators of innocence. And remember, Brendan is not a super sophisticated kid, especially not then, and I don't think he is even now. He does not have the ability to fool a lie detector, a polygraph. It's not in him, folks. It's not in him. Brendan's only capable of he's not capable of that level of deception. Is basically what I'm getting at. There we go, right on. So I'm gonna grab a bite. Allie will Allie will get going. She'll send the link around for her live when she generates it, and we'll see you guys there. I imagine we're probably looking maybe about 20-30 minutes or so. So, anyways, hope you guys are all there. Hope to get to see you there. It's always fun to go on, continue talking about things, you know, it's just like, I can't wait to do this whole thing where we're going to do that whole weekend, you know, that whole weekend thing where we go live, handing it off from YouTuber to YouTuber. I'm really excited about that whole thing. So this is going to be kind of fun, I hope. So anyways, we'll see you guys over on Allie's channel in a little bit while I go eat. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.